Welcome to the Washdown podcast. And we've got a great one for you guys today. Very interesting. We're going to be talking about drones and technology in firefighting. We have returning guests Tyler Grosser and Jarrett Blanton. So, hope you guys like it. We had a great time shooting this episode. So, here you go the Washdown podcast with Tyler Grosser and Jarrett Blanton. Drones and technology in the fire service.
All crews stand by for emergency traffic. All crews stand by for emergency traffic.
That's the unit with the mayday. Go ahead with your traffic.
Can we have music?
Well, that would all be put in post.
Can we have music going?
We got to pay for copyright.
We're
all
not doing
poor.
that. I did change it from the last time that you were on. I do have like a little intro thing that's like a Mayday call.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I know. But it's
Mayday call?
Yeah.
Dude, wow.
It's just the tones. It's the
Come on.
dispatcher doing the tones.
I disagree.
So,
All right, go ahead.
Nice.
well, when you have your own podcast, Tyler.
I just like to be a problem. Go ahead. Let's roll it. Let's do it.
I think we're rolling.
It's already
Yeah.
rolling.
Okay.
All
good.
right, cool. So let's just.
All you did was talk shit on Jeremy's intro, which I applaud.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So can we
Oh,
just
my
rewind time and just start all over with what Tyler was
right.
saying
That's
initially?
Well, we did have a time where we had to catch lightning in a bottle twice, and Chris made it happen in a roundabout, long-ass way whenever we had James Kelly on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first time. And then, you did it again, too, when we had Shergan on, that episode then.
Yeah, I don't remember what I did on that one.
It was, you were talking about how attractive he was. And then,
Because he's a sexy man.
yeah,
No.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
bad.
It's weird.
yeah.
That sucks.
I mean,
I
I got nothing.
don't
Anyway,
know.
Tyler, Jarrett,
Hey, man, don't judge people, all right?
I try not
Don't
to.
judge.
I try
Don't
not
judge.
to.
welcome back to the show. So
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I want to start off with a question though, because we're talking about drone program and all that stuff and how, you brought it to the department and fire service and everything. Do you know of anybody else in the country that's doing a program similar to what you're doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's funny that you ask because I can give you some statistics because those are fun. So out of every, not just fire department, but public safety agency, out of everyone in the country, 80% either have a program or want a program. Those are interesting facts and kind of like hard to wrap your head around, to be honest, but it is deemed the number one thing right now and has been for multiple years. Number one thing that public safety agencies either want or are interested in. And there's 55 in Kansas City. 55 in this metro area that have some involvement in it.
So
We're far from the first. As a matter of fact, it's safe to say that we're behind. We're behind the curve.
So do you think some of that is from departments kind of moving away from helicopter operations or just trying to implement drones into?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just a matter of the technology getting better and becoming more available and being cheap in the scheme of things. And I don't think there's a ton of agencies out there that had helicopters. And if they did, they probably still do because they use them for rescue assets.
Right.
That being said, outside of the ability to, hoist people in that capacity, drones have gotten to the point for sure that they can do everything else without question.
Yeah.
And definitely are being seen as replacements for police department helicopters for sure.
Yeah.
But
But that's kind of the angle that I was going at.
right.
Because I've heard of several police departments getting rid of their
yeah,
aviation
definitely.
side.
Yeah, because that price tag hurts. As far as fire departments that have helicopters, I happen to be good friends with some guys on the West Coast in LA and and obviously they use their helicopters for so much more
Right.
wildland stuff and all that. But yeah, I mean the drones have definitely, cut out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about availability and cost, and it took a lot. It took a while for it to get to that point. I mean, technology, did not allow for this, initially. They're still unstable, and the quality of video or the information you could get out of them just really wasn't worthwhile. Matter of fact, New York, and I work with all of these guys. New York departments on the West Coast. The forerunner in all of it was Austin, Texas, oddly enough.
Really?
And then New York actually modeled their program after Austin's. But New York has a lot of money, and, that gives them the ability to get bigger quicker. But nonetheless, they started out with tethered stuff, because their city manager and folks there wouldn't allow just free flight, initially. This is years ago, and kind of progressed it. But yeah, it's we are not the only ones, that's for sure. And I think that the desires or visions of myself or admin or anybody else that's been involved in this aspires for this program in our department to be much bigger than it is now in the future, without question, and incorporate a lot of other things.
What's the height that you can go from the ground? Just like our taller buildings. Can you reach the top of those? It's like somebody's hanging.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then what about New York? Yeah. Can they get to their
extremely
tall buildings at the top without sending people up first to get a look?
Yeah, absolutely. So the rule is, by word of the FAA, is 400 feet ceiling, basically. But that is from the ground to 400 feet or 400 feet above any building. So you have 400 feet to play with above your tallest building.
So can you make it from the ground to our tallest building at the top?
We can make it to 20,000 feet, man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what the range was.
I mean,
no,
you're talking drones, man. I don't know about drones.
No, right.
Think about it. You can send those drones out like 2 miles away. It can go that
we
way.
can get to any. We can get to any height, for sure. For sure.
I'm sorry for him.
No, it's a valid question.
All right, I'm gonna
don't entertain it, Tyler.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull my Jared impression. Fuck you guys. I'm going home.
No, so yeah, they have that. We can do that, and we have a great relationship with the FAA in Kansas City. Oddly enough, they are huge fans and work closely with us to give us allowances that a lot of other departments don't have. There's that for sure. We deal with them on a daily basis, so it's been really good. That aspect of it's been good.
Cool. So what's the plan going forward as far as you mentioned expanding the program out? Yeah,
so talking with the fire chief all along the way, who has been behind us from the beginning, we envision this to be a robotics, not just drones. So we're actually looking at several large ticket items in the form of robotics, namely thermite robots.
Thermite robots?
Yeah, they're made by Textron, actually, and they're tracked firefighting vehicles. So for our purposes, to use in the caves.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Or big, they're phenomenal, dude. They'll drag 4 2.5s and flow 2,500 gallons a minute.
Dude, that would make especially out in certain areas of the city where we have huge big box, high rack storage.
That's exactly what they're for.
Holy
they have
shit,
they have a massive plow on the front of them. They'll move cars. They'll move anything that's in their way. And
is it gonna have like predator vision?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they've got thermal cameras on them. They'll advance 4 2.5. They're connect up to the back.
Yeah. That's a game changer.
Oh, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
I know whenever I was a safety officer, that was one of my biggest
and we've been looking at options in the form of what are we going to do with these caves for some time.
They're only getting bigger too.
They're only getting bigger, and our plan as it stands right now is not great, and it's being worked on by several committees and whatnots, but it's going to take something like that to make this anything remotely doable for us. I mean, we almost lost guys in the last go around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a good situation. So
No. Well, and I'll tell you another thing, and I'm sure you guys have probably already thought about this, but we have a lot of places, and they're doing it all over the country. They're putting EV chargers in parking garages.
Right, exactly.
It's the same thing. You might as well treat it as a cave.
No, for sure.
It's the same
and
thing.
that's half the purpose. You'll be able to use these to move cars out, push them out, drag them out. They got winches on them.
Can they navigate stairs?
I don't
they're tracked, man.
Well, I know, but some of the stairs
they're
are
too big. I mean, they're
they're
as
how
big
wide
as a
they
car.
are.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're massive. They run off a diesel engine. I mean, they're huge. But
I mean, I know like
fit on a trailer.
I know like the caves don't have to worry about stairs, but sometimes the garages. But I know you can do the roundabout.
Yeah, they make
but to get there
smaller
quicker,
ones,
maybe.
but they're not going to have the power behind them to do anything else.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But
Go big or go home, babe.
I mean, these
better
things,
go home.
you can put a patient on either side for like active shooter stuff. And so you can like transport patients remotely so you don't have to have people with them. Like you can drive this thing into a hot zone, put patients on, Stokes baskets on either side, and then just drive it out. And I mean, there's so many different aspects of it that make things better for us in certain situations.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're
I wanna be on
talking
this committee.
But you're talking $300,000.
Totally worth the
But
price
that's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
is
if you
worth
look at the pallet fire, we lost $2 million worth of fire trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, so $300,000 is nothing. So
Yeah.
and to be able to
Yeah.
get that deep into whatever we need to, because those
Yeah.
caves are miles and miles.
oh
and,
yeah, for
You
sure.
know, I know I've got caves my first in. And that's one of the things that scares me the most.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm not afraid to admit that.
No,
I don't like driving
100%.
in there in my car on a regular day. Let
We've all
alone
been there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
we've all
fire.
been at trucks on fire or whatever in those things, and it's nasty. It's a nasty situation. I mean, I think we should get the caves to pay for it. Honestly, that's how I see it.
I bet we could,
Yeah.
or at least half.
Yeah.
So that's the next big thing we're looking at. The drones are here to stay. I don't think that if anybody's out there wondering if it's a permanent thing or not, I know it's a pilot program still, but I don't think there's any question that they're here to stay at this point.
Well, I can speak from personal experience and say that the times that I've had them on scenes that I've been on, they have been invaluable.
For certain things they are, and for certain other things they're not as valuable, but they've always got something to offer. I think. The perspective out there in the field is interesting, and I think there's a general lack of knowledge, awareness, training, and that's my fault. I would be the one to be doing that and haven't been able to get out there and actually do it. So, I take that responsibility. But.
Well, it's kind of hard to train people and let them know what's going on whenever
We've
you're
had
busy
a lot.
running from.
We've had a lot going on just to get this thing rolling, but we do have it on the roadmap, so to speak, in the near future to start doing that, going to just every district. And I'm not talking about just talking to chiefs.
Yeah.
We want people to see it and actually get their eyes on it, and I think that the perspective might change a little bit. Not that I think it's 100% negative right now, but I know there is some negativity out there.
I think
Well-
bringing the videos you have, like I know we watched
Yeah,
we watched the
exactly.
pallet fire with you,
Right.
And
Yeah, exactly.
being able to see the different views of it and what
I
you
mean,
actually
we've done
do,
some wild
that's-
stuff.
that changes your view of the program.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the amount of stuff that we've done with it. I mean, we've run over 500 calls with it, and it's from one end of the spectrum to the other, and we've done some pretty wild, or been able to see some pretty wild stuff that there's absolutely no way we'd ever be able to see it before that. So
Right.
they've proven their valuability, I guess, or proven their value, however you want to say that, but
That's fine.
Valuability works.
valuability.
Oh shit, Jarrett talked.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot he
What
was
do you got
here.
to say?
Didn't want to interrupt you guys.
I mean, I'm glad he's here because he was the first guy to rotate through. We're on this rotation thing. So just before I turn it over to him for a minute, I'll tell you how this whole thing came about. So it's all being done through ops committee, right? And I was given parameters. So if I wanted this program to move forward, I had to work within these parameters. And so one of them was that we had to open it up to other people. It can't just be me. Okay, fine. So we put out there to the whole job, hey, who's got a pilot's license? So we got 4 back. That was one parameter. We complied with that immediately. And then the next parameter was, well, moving forward, whatever the concept is, you can't have any FTEs. You know anything about FTEs? Full-time equivalent positions is a...
You mean like a second job?
It's an no.
Or you mean just
it
within
means
the department?
positions, fire department
Fire
positions.
department.
Okay.
You can't have any. You can't have any. Can't have any positions. That was one of the parameters. So there's that, and then the third parameter was cost. But the first 2 were the hardest to comply with. So to continue to put it out to everybody and have everybody with the availability to do this just is not realistic, to be honest. I mean, what are you going to do with? I mean, I've got like 60 emails right now of people on the job that are interested, and that's great. I love that, but at the same time, what am I going to do with 60 people? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
You'd need a secretary
It's
to
a mess.
coordinate everybody.
But so we started this off, and I said, okay, well, the only way I can figure this out is that we're going to do rotations for 2 weeks. So I maintain this 40-hour position because I have to, and I'll rotate a pilot in to work with me for 2 weeks at a time, and that avoids FTEs because it's a detail.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've done that. Jarrett was the first one. We're on our 4th now, and it's gotten better. Every rotation, if you will, it's gotten better. Definitely try to show these guys that whatever experience they had in the private sector, doesn't really transfer over. It's a much different. It's a much different landscape, much different set of concerns. But I'll let Jarrett speak to that, and he can tell you about his experience with the first rotation.
Yeah, and exactly as kind of Tyler stated. I mean, it's been a long journey. I've kind of been with Tyler, and just really this whole process of just getting the drone division, whether it's in the pilot program or not. I've been with him, really almost
From the very beginning.
kind of pretty
I mean,
much.
you were in the tech services committee at the onset.
Right. And it's blossomed to where we're at now. So, yeah, and now here we are at. And like Tyler stated, I started the rotation. And I'll be honest, my rotation was a little quiet. I didn't have as...
It was, compared to everybody else's so far.
Yeah, it seems like that. And that's fine. That's just how it goes. I mean, we all know it doesn't matter where you're at. You could be at the busiest station, or the slowest. You can't predict the calls. But we're still at a time, I believe, where dispatch, it's going to take some time before they can adjust the CAD to be able to actually dispatch us to the proper calls. There's times I felt like we should have been on calls that we didn't, and we have to call them and kind of add us to the call. And that's okay, but sometimes that can create a lot of confusion. And I know that that's not what they want. They don't want companies to start dispatching themselves, but there's some training that dispatch needs. But as far as the experience goes, like Tyler was saying, he's exactly correct. I mean, I've been flying for years as a hobbyist, just as playing, with my own little imagination. Totally different when you get out and you're actually having to run it on an actual scene, whether it's a fire, a water rescue, multi-car wreck, a simulated plane crash.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Simulation only.
Thanks for the heads up, guys.
Right.
Right.
But I know we did a really cool night drill, and that's one thing I will say. Thank you, Tyler, for showing that, because
You weren't thanking me then.
well, no, I wasn't. I might have been motherfucking you then. No. It's truly a valuable lesson to be able to actually learn how to fly at night. It's a totally different. I mean, yeah, we think because these drones have infrared and they have the night vision and all this that they can adjust, and it does make a big difference seeing objects at night from day. So that's stuff that we worked on. That's stuff that, someone who might think, oh, I can fly a drone and stuff, but do you fly at night? And if you do, is your drone equipped to fly at night? And do you go around looking for, a person who might have been ejected out of a car, or a car that's upside down in a creek? If you're not going out looking for that, then you have no idea what you're going to be in for.
I think the biggest element of indifferences, I guess, is the pressure aspect of it. You have so many different forms of it, but you're standing there with typically a BC or somebody. Some of them are more educated than others in this regard, and they're looking at you, and they have high expectations, right? And or high doubts, one of the two. And so, there's some pressure. There's some pressure, and as we all know, that changes everything. Pressure changes everything. So being able to work through that, being able to think on your feet, come up with solutions to problems, and overcome it without appearing like you're going to cry, it's important.
Even if you want to.
Even if you want to sometimes.
Hey, man, everybody poos their pants every once in a while.
Man,
ain't no lie.
you shit the bed,
That's
but
right.
Yeah.
it's definitely different. It's definitely different out there. And there's so much to this. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you what goes into this. It to most people, I'm sure it appears to be pretty simple and comes in a box, and you open it and you fly it, and life goes on. But it unfortunately is a lengthy process that even to get to the point where you can do that, it's a lengthy process. And then all the
Well, yeah, because you guys have to be licensed, and
sure,
there's all kinds of stuff.
That's the tip of the iceberg, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all that, but you've got the amount of crap that you have to comply with, documentation, record keeping. You have to send the FAA reports every month of what you do, what rules you break. You got to report to the city manager because he has interest in this as well. You've got to keep all this stuff in line, and you got to go out and do good work and make sure that you don't screw up
I
with something that's in the air.
Here's what I'm hearing, that you guys do a lot of training and education stuff.
Oh God, not again.
That's what I'm hearing.
There's definitely
Training and education.
I mean, you can talk to Jared about what happens on a day-to-day basis from my position, but it doesn't include naps are a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff every single day.
Nobody naps, dude.
I get it. I get that. I get that. So yeah, there's a lot to do. I think our book is probably that thick of documents that we've had to produce or can continue to have to do something with. But we just got a contract with a local, not naming any names, NFL football stadium to provide some services. So that'll be an upcoming opportunity, probably for more people than what we have now, if anybody's out there listening to that. But
Have you guys done any mutual aid yet?
we do mutual aid almost daily. I mean, we run, for anybody out there wondering, we run multiple calls a day.
Yep,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, yesterday we ran 3. And when I say that, I mean, those last a while.
Well,
So-
yeah, anytime you guys
yeah.
are coming out, it's a
I mean,
big event.
we were at an Operation 100 yesterday for 4 hours.
Yeah, I believe that. It's
And
usually
then
not short.
We were at a jumper on the bridge last night for 3 hours in the middle of the night. I mean, so they're not short-winded
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, I mean, the typical call for you guys is not going to be the 2 a.m. tow pain where you pick somebody
No,
up and you're back to
no.
the station in 15
Let me
minutes.
dispel a
It's-
couple
Not
of
even
things.
close.
Let me dispel a couple of things out there. So anybody who's wondering, is having a 40-hour-a-week position cool? It is an odd one. If you spend your life working 24, 48s, 40-hour work week is weird. It is bizarre. You can't get anything done. 8 hours a day isn't enough.
Yeah.
And you can't get anything done at home because you're there to, it is the weirdest thing and the most cumbersome thing. I would trade that in a heartbeat. For anybody out there thinking that it's glamorous, it is not.
Wait, so
that's
hold
a
up.
detriment.
Hold up, Tyler. Does that mean that you can't come? We can't plan a trip and go
Yeah.
somewhere, hang out,
Right.
like in
Well,
Vegas?
then, and if
Like go on a
anybody
Jeep
wondered,
trip?
Yeah, there you go, on a
If
Jeep
anybody
trip.
wondered what it was like to be on call 24/7, 365 without the ability to move about, consider not being able to go to dinner in any place outside of the city, not being able to go anywhere with any part of your family. I mean, you got to take 2 cars anywhere you go, and you can never be unavailable. That is a hurdle. So every single day, we get a call at night at some point, every day. At some point, I'm out at night.
So, and I don't know how much you can speak to it, but would you like to see it move into a 24-hour shift position?
I think it's inevitable that will happen. And that's not going to take away the need to have somebody manage it on a day-to-day, probably a 40-hour work week.
Well, yeah, but not running the calls, doing the management part of it.
Yeah, right. And there's a certain amount of this that you have to have. So, like, I'm engaged with all these people, right? And half of the battle is the relationships you build with everybody else in the outside world that you have to interact with. And so those relationships are non-transferable, right?
Right.
So it takes somebody with those relationships to really kind of make things go smoothly a lot of times, because some people have accepted this and have a huge amount of confidence in it with other agencies and people you have to deal with, and some are still kind of skeptics. So the relationships are everything, and unfortunately there'll probably never be a time that you don't have to have somebody in that position that has those relationships, that goes out with, whether it be one pilot or a crew or whatever, from time to time, just depending on what it is. And then there's some things that'll be more routine that could happen, I hope. But yes, I see this as being inevitably. Well, I would guess in the next 5 years we'll have 2. I bet you we'll have 2 crews, one south and one north. 100%.
That would make sense.
It is all about time.
Yeah.
Time is not your friend in this game, and the usability is in a window of like 20 or 30 minutes. Like let's talk about fires, for example. You've got 20 or 30 minutes. That's the most pivotal time on the front end, and then it just kind of like starts to wane off after that.
Yeah.
Now, not to mention we are starting to do more and more with the fire marshal's office and do things for them after
Right.
post fire stuff, and doing pictures and whatever they need for their investigations. But the pivotal time is on the front end, 100%.
Yeah.
So the faster we can get there, the more usable it is.
Well, yeah, and from having you guys there at the beginning of the scene, where we can see, okay, it's getting away from us over here, we
There's
can
so much.
reposition
Right.
hose lines and maybe keep something from going
Right.
completely fucking sideways.
And I want everybody to understand that 100% intent on all of this is for the safety of our own people on the front end. 100%. So like that's where it started, and that's where it will end every day of the week. That's our biggest priority, is providing tools, providing information that keeps our people safer. And I hope everybody respects that, or can at least wrap their head around that part of it. Secondly, to be more effective, 100%. There's so much information out there that we can get that changes the course of incidents, should people allow it to happen. That's the big part. But let's talk about, you're on a truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk about aerial stream placement and water. Yeah, I mean, there's something weird about the perspective of somebody being in the bucket and thinking they have water going somewhere, and 9 times out of 10, from what we've seen, is it's not doing that. It's not going there. It's either dissipating before it gets there. It's not going in the hole you think it's going in.
Yeah. Well, because you can't really see.
It's weird though.
The water obscures your view.
Yeah, I think it must. But so the amount of information we've been able to use on that end of it has been huge, and that's something that we want to get out and train with you guys on. I mean,
you are more than welcome.
It's like
any day of the week to come down.
The best way to do it is to just put the pilot in the bucket with the guy operating it, or if they're operating it from the turntable or whatever, then and it's like a video game, man. I mean, they're sitting there, and the operator will watch the screen, and they can see exactly where it's going, where they need to move, and it's like the pilot doesn't even have to say anything. It's the information's there for them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an aspect that we've definitely done a lot of here and there on incidents, but we haven't really kind of blasted that out there. And I think truck guys will be excited about it because it makes you more effective.
Well, I've got a guy that I got to get broke in to drive on the truck, so we're going to be fly piping a lot here coming up. So
let us know.
I will absolutely. I'll text
anybody
send
in
me
this
an invite for that one. I want to see it on the truck perspective because I never get to see that being on a pumper.
Right.
So I'd like to be in the bucket and see what you're looking at for, like, I'm working for Jeremy on Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
So pumper guy on a truck.
Anybody
exciting.
anybody out there at all that wants to use it, train with it, talk about it, they're more than welcome to call. I mean, and there's days that we can schedule it in, there's days that we can't, but we'll do any.
You've got an open invite to my station. Anytime you want to come down, we'll just,
for sure.
We'll make do. We've always got extra food for lunch.
Yeah,
so
we're right around the corner, so.
Yeah, more than welcome to eat lunch with us anytime you want.
Cool.
So.
I appreciate it. So yeah, there's those aspects of it. The water rescue aspect of it is huge. We use that continually. Again, keeping guys off of the water, especially like now where we have all this stuff floating down the river. I mean, that just puts our equipment and our people at risk. So if we can use it to prevent that stuff from happening, is definitely.
There's a lot of debris last night. It was crazy.
Yeah. Were you out there for that thing?
Yeah.
So how far can the thermal penetrate into the water?
It cannot penetrate water, just like any other thermal camera.
Okay.
So like on a water rescue, we're picking up somebody's
Everything
head.
surface.
Yes.
So when you are looking at somebody in the water, because we know body core temperature drops rapidly in cold water, how much training have you guys had to do to differentiate like logs and not water and then somebody, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
So it's pretty powerful in the fact that it's got tools. The thermal camera has tools in it that like we don't have on our handheld stuff, or even that the police helicopter doesn't have. And the fact that last night, for example, this was somebody on the bridge, so they weren't in the water yet, but in preparation for somebody being in the water, the protocol is you get a temperature of the water, and then you get a temperature of somebody outside the water, whatever that is reading, right? Because it's never 98.6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you shoot the middle of that. So last night it was 63 degrees. That was the magic number. And then you can set the controller to tell you anything that's 63 degrees or above, it'll alarm. And so then basically anything that camera scans over that's 63 plus, it tells you. So it's all like instant, picks it up. Nice. So a log isn't going to be in that range. You know what I mean? It might be a different temperature, but it's not. And then outside of that equation, if you're not going to do it that way, you're just looking for anomalies, and it takes a fair amount of experience to kind of identify those. But
so when you guys train, how do you simulate that?
Anomalies in the water?
Yeah.
We wait for them to have people in the water. It's the only way you can do it. I mean, to get a perspective is you have to have somebody in the water. the rescue guys love being in that water.
I bet they do.
Not enough soap in the world for
Yeah,
that.
I know. It's so much fun. But we've had. So last summer we were lucky enough to be around, I guess, for the majority of their boat stuff, and that's the best time because they're out there daily, all day long, guys in the water, and so that's a good time.
Yeah. What was it like 3 days we trained on that?
Well, we did 3-day demo thing.
Okay.
That was when we were just proof of concept stuff, but boat training takes forever. So this year we'll have plenty of time for that. But yeah, that's it. It's an interesting. That's an interesting job function. The water rescue portion of it, hopefully at some point, will be a big game changer in general. I mean, there's another vision for that as well. They have docks that are kind of like boxes, and so the idea is that we want to put one of those. It's got a drone in it at Riverfront Park, and it'll just automatically deploy on a water rescue, and then guys will be able to see on an iPad or a tablet in a rig. It'll go on a autonomous flight before a pilot's even there, and so the minute we get a water rescue, it'll launch, and the crews will have eyes before they even get there.
So will it have like a predetermined route it's going to fly, or is it going to determine what was dispatched? Where
no, it'll still take somebody to push the button, to make it go, and then it'll have a predetermined flight path or a list of those. So I mean, this doesn't preclude somebody from actually being an oversight pilot type situation. However, you have to get a waiver, beyond visual line of sight type waiver, but nonetheless, it's all very doable, and you could even pilot it manually if you wanted to remotely. But that technology is definitely out there right now currently, and they just released drones that have load capacities of 200 pounds plus that are, again, not unattainable. I mean, they're $20,000, and winch systems on it that'll lift 20 or 200 pounds. I mean, they got guys hauling deer out of woods as a business model.
What?
Yeah, have you not seen it?
No.
Oh,
that hasn't come up on my Instagram feed yet, but
Yeah, there's services out there for deer hunters that they use these drones to haul deer out, just lift them up.
Man, I'll invest in that.
It's pretty cool, but we'll be doing pickoffs with these things at some point, I imagine.
that seems so like if you'd have told me 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, no way.
It's like
Oh,
that's
it's crazy.
sci-fi
It's
only
crazy.
in the movie shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, they just came out with these new things. They're wild, man. I mean, they sound like helicopters.
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah, they're
too.
huge too.
Yeah, you'll have to look them up on YouTube. You guys get a chance. And they're not as expensive as you would have thought.
Do you have the ability to look up stuff on a computer? Pop it up on the screen.
Not to put into
Not
this
on the
program.
podcast.
Come on, we're
So-
asking questions
get
about
that.
drones. You think we
should
can
get that.
add
I mean,
video on here? Come on.
Yeah.
You should be able to look stuff up like live.
Yeah. No. That's why we record everything.
Yeah.
Well, that was supposed to be Jared's job to help us out with that, and he
Yeah.
he gave us the finger, and then we never saw him again
Oh,
until you showed up
gosh,
today.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been spending all his time in the drone program.
Yeah, right.
Never went on the Jeep trip
That's
he was
right.
supposed to go on and all this
Got
other
canceled.
stuff.
No, I
yeah.
couldn't do the Jeep trip.
Yeah.
They canceled out.
So, yeah, no, I might be able to find a video and superimpose it over the top of
No, you should
what
look it
we're,
up. Look up the deer. That's wild.
Yeah.
But
That'd be cool.
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that's on the horizon, and I don't think anybody has to worry. It's not going to take your job. It's not going to replace human firefighting or even firefighting as we know it. It's just going to make it better.
Oh, it's still that human component and all of that, where you
Yeah,
got to make
100%.
decisions and account for different things and
100%.
make a call.
Well, it's another tool in the tool bag, right?
Yeah, I think everybody was like, "Oh, you're out there looking for guys with air packs out on roofs." I'm like, "Hey, listen, I got news. I got news for you, man. Number one, that's never crossed my mind. Number two, it doesn't take a drone to see you.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
Just keep
true.
that in mind."
Very true.
Yeah, everybody can see you doing the
Yeah.
wrong thing.
All you got to do is just stand in the street, you know. But yeah, it's interesting. It's been an interesting job, and beyond my wildest dreams at times, and the worst thing I've ever done at times. So,
Well, I mean, you're starting something from scratch. I mean, you got to expect that it's gonna suck at sometimes because you're
have
forging
no
your own
idea.
path. You know.
yeah, the acceptance is just, man, it's so weird. It's there are days that I feel very good, and there's few days that I feel just like, what am I doing?
Now you know how paramedics feel.
Yeah, there's
Really,
frustrating
you
days.
got to bring it back to the paramedic thing. We could have went a whole episode about not talking about that.
He went silent. He went silent.
Oh my gosh.
He went silent.
But no, so Tyler, let me ask you this. In terms of like going forward, I thought about this a few times. What do you think about it's like in terms of the connectivity. So right now we're not really using like 5G or anything like that, but I keep hearing rumblings that would be like the next phase, and then
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah, and they have the ability now, honestly, but you know, we're still fighting some battles, regulation battles, you know, because of China.
Damn it. Now we can't use any of this.
oh god.
No, I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about. That was in your head, but
Subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
That's what we need on the podcast.
we've actually fought it. We've fought this battle in Jeff City physically to get them to not put further regulation and restrictions on us, and we've won that battle for now. So we can continue using DJI stuff that is the most effective. So, but who knows what the future looks like in that regard? And
That ain't no lie.
yes, to answer your question, yeah, that is definitely a future where there will be limitless distance, etc., just via cell phone signal. It'd be controlled through that instead of radio frequency.
Yeah.
Because like you were asking earlier, and also you too, Chris, you guys were asking like how far can the drones go?
Well, he was asking.
well-
I kind of already knew.
Well, you were saying they can go up to 2 miles, but imagine if you had 5G, you can
Yeah.
go anywhere that has
Yeah.
5G.
Well, yeah, I mean, now you're
Or-
talking if you're,
Right.
you know, doing a training somewhere across the city,
Yeah.
that drone can be flying immediately
Exactly.
and
There-
never
Now-
have to, you're not wasting that drive time. And I
So-
don't mean waste. I mean, I know it's not a waste of time to drive there and to do your job, but
Right.
if you can have that, if you're driving and he's controlling from the car, you're way ahead of the game
You
at this
can't
point.
do
And now
that.
you're in that
You
30
can't do
minute.
that. You can't do that.
Well, no, not.
You can't. No,
I know, not yet. You have regulations.
I'm just kidding. That's a big FAA 107 big tick
I didn't
mark.
know
You
that.
can't operate it from a car. It's funny, but
Sorry.
Not
No,
moving
no,
at least.
I'll
I didn't know
joking
that. My bad.
All joking aside, it's funny you bring it up that we had entertained a lot of conversation with our PD to start a program actually, and didn't really get legs under it because the guy that was pushing for it over there got promoted or something. But it's called DFR. I don't know if you've heard of it. Drone as a first responder. It's I've got mixed emotions about it, but there are several big cities out there doing it, and I know our PD really, really wants to do it themselves, and they wanted us to be like a 50% partner in it, and we were talking about it, but it's basically the premise of it is that you have teams of drone pilots or drones on rooftops, basically at strategic locations throughout the city, and then you intercept 911 calls with the ability to listen to them and prioritize them and send drones out to basically investigate ahead of even crews being dispatched essentially.
So all the unknown calls, and
Unknown calls,
shit
car
like that.
wrecks, shootings,
Yeah.
you know, and your wildest, think about it, along with PD or whatever they run. If it's a partnership thing, then fire guys that are doing it might be going to, PD calls too, but that's not, that's been not something.
That's some 1984 shit right there, man.
You know what though? I mean, and I get that aspect of it 100%. But also think about how many times we get dispatched on a car wreck, just that type of call, and we show up and there's nobody there.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's
I
like,
agree with that too. Like even this Apple iPhone.
oh
shit.
God,
How many
started.
false calls of those have we responded to? You know, multiple companies going emergency to somebody dropped their phone
because the Apple deal detected a crash.
Yeah.
You're talking about
Yeah.
that, yeah.
I know we responded whenever I was the DSO. I think we did 15 in one day, and that's one
That's
district in the
insane.
city.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
It's
I
like-
mean, and
and
going
maybe one
back
of those
to
was real.
None of them.
Oh, there
You
you
know,
go.
None of them.
going-
They were all. I mean, that's just the iPhone detection
Yeah.
crashes.
Yeah.
going back to the safety aspect of it, I mean, we obviously have a problem with accidents, and if we can, it's never going to be a thing where, you just send a drone out and then no people.
Yeah.
Right.
It's never going to be a thing.
The drone's going to grow arms and hands and a brain and legs.
Think about
Call it an Android.
another big thing is the overdose stuff. They have capabilities of carrying Narcan and dropping it.
Yeah.
And they have a package. It's super small. It's like an AED and Narcan. Just pop it. So that's another thing
You
out
can
there.
just pop it on the patient.
No, you drop it, hoping there's somebody there to.
Yeah.
Right,
If there's
that'd be funny.
hopefully there's a bystander that called
Right,
911 that
right,
would use
that
it,
actually
Right,
can-
exactly.
and not just some Karen who was driving
Right,
by that
right.
called it in.
Right.
But I mean, they've been talking about that a lot too. Not us out there in the world. So yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Well,
You're talking a limitless technology
Yeah.
that you could do so many different things with. It's
Right.
just getting there and getting the public to buy in.
And
as
then
well.
the-
not just departments, but public as
this is
well.
all would be for our purposes to date. We use it tactically. That's but the spectrum is even super more vast than that. Honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So then you have the disaster response element of it, and that then puts us in a completely different category to be utilized by the state, which then funds us. So that's another direction we're heading.
Yeah.
So I mean, be able to go out and within 20, 30 minutes be able to map an area and then compare it to satellite imagery beforehand and say, okay, here's where we need to prioritize our efforts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. And
well, yeah, especially, I mean, it's flood season.
yeah,
So-
tornado
Flood
season.
flood in
right?
tornado
Tornado.
season right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Tornado, yeah.
So I mean, that's something
Hurricane
that
for some places or parts of the U.S.
that's not a pipe dream. That's capability we have now, right now, today we could do it.
Yeah.
So, we're just waiting on the opportunity, but definitely being sold to the state and the region, which we get funding for, and God knows we need funding.
That's an understatement.
Period. So
Yeah.
it's I mean, the capabilities are definitely proven themselves to be valuable.
Well, yeah. Just the saved time and work and man hours and response time.
Yeah.
To be able to do stuff like that. And like we talked about, big pallet fires,
Oh yeah.
wildfires
The
and
big
things
incidents,
like that.
yeah.
You're saving so many man hours of work and so much wear and tear on the people. It's not that we're still not working. I mean,
Mm-hmm. No,
we're still
it's-
working.
yeah, it's still gonna
we're
be-
just working with a better
You're
purpose.
working less, yeah.
So was that work smarter, not harder?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
Is
that.
that where we're going with this?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. I'll tell you what, when we had that rash of grass and weed stuff there for a while, especially out south, that a couple of things came of that. One, the state said, "Oh, okay, you guys are having a lot of this. We have very few brush buggies, but nonetheless, they said we're going to give you money for every acre that you guys have to go out and deal with this because it was so dry or whatever. I don't know how it got to that point, but I know I was told that we need to go out to every single one and map it, and we get money for that. So there's something probably people don't know. Two, being able to identify hot spots or whatever, and so that we don't go back there 15 times. That's huge. So definitely usable in that environment as well. Car wrecks, something people don't think about. Looking for ejections, use them there all the time.
Yep.
So I don't know. We can get just about anywhere faster than the police helicopter at this point. So that's one thing I'd like to see, is to just take that out of people's vocabulary. 690 erased.
Yeah.
Just call it Drone 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'll consider on some of these almost campfires that we've had. Where we have to hike
Absolutely.
in the woods for a bit.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
the
you
car
can just
wrecks where
wait.
the Jacks start calling for the drone.
Right.
Once
Quicker.
we see what we have, and definitely sooner than. So
Right.
it's not even a
Nah,
thought.
and the biggest problem during the day, that's all good and probably will work just the way you're thinking about it. At night or on the weekends, understand, at least I'm coming from out south. If Blanton's on duty, he's coming from up north, but it does take a second. It takes a second.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's why I
can't
keep
teleport, unfortunately, right now.
right. And
Not
that's
yet, it's
why
coming.
I think
It's
coming.
that's
in the future, yeah.
We'll be driving.
more.
We'll be flying drones to get to the place where we can fly
fly your
drones.
other
Right.
drone.
We'll be flying drones.
Usually- Flying drones to fly drones.
I mean, yeah.
Be like the Jetsons, Living in
Only if it makes the
skies.
sound. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
We need some
Yeah.
Star Trek sounds here.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, Chris.
Star Wars, man.
Star Wars, Star Trek, Star Wars.
That's all right.
It's a
all
debate.
good.
I don't know
Star
why.
somebody,
Star Wars.
But
is
yeah,
great.
it's been going good. It's been going really good. I don't think anybody really expected it to
Take off the way it did.
go this far. So it's been
Doesn't it?
interesting.
It's kind of like when the first ticks were first introduced to the department. I don't think a lot of
don't know.
guys were real.
I don't know what you can compare to it in the form of what we've I guess endured. I don't know how you want to say it, but
I
it's
wouldn't
definitely been
compare
its
that
own
part.
thing.
I think what I was meaning just with like how I don't really think a lot of guys were just like, oh yeah, ticks, they're going to be great, these thermal imaging
Yeah.
cameras. And then eventually it was like what they started with the rescues, and they realized how valuable they were. They eventually went to the trucks, and then now lo and behold, they're on every single company, pumpers included. I'm not saying there'll be a drone on every company by any stretch, but I do believe that everyone will see in some time like, oh wow, like this makes our job so much easier, makes us safer, and we can get the information a lot quicker.
Well,
Yeah.
the Marvelous system is another thing. There's,
Sure.
departments that have had that since the 90s,
Right.
and other departments have kind of lagged behind. But once you have it and you use it and you become familiar with how
Sure.
to use it, it's a game changer.
It is.
There
and
is
we're
so
still
much-
not. Here's the thing: we're still not even using
No,
a
we're not
fraction
even.
of its capabilities.
Yeah, exactly.
What
Yeah.
we could, and the information we can have coming in.
There's so much better stuff out there even than that.
Yeah.
In that regard. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fire service is changing, and people need to
There's-
realize that. But it has to.
yeah, you have to.
So
The faster you can wrap your head around it, the better off you'll be for sure.
Use the technology to your advantage.
Right. For sure. Yeah. It's not gonna take the spotlight off you, trust me.
No, well, like I said, it's another tool in the tool bag, and
Right.
it's valuable.
It
and-
is. 100%.
But it's just like every other tool. If you don't call for it
Yeah.
and use it,
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
it's just like the axe that you forgot on the rig.
Right.
Yeah, or your helmet.
Yeah.
And that's something we've continued to be trying to figure out. What do we go to? I mean, we can only go to so much. But I mean, for right after Blanton got done with his rotation, or I think
OJT.
anyway,
Pretty much.
we by mistake were being sent on every working fire for like a week. It was brutal, but it gave us a good idea of, so here, think about this. Even though this was a mistake, right, created by our IT department, Once that mistake happens, until you can convince them to shut it off, you get actually assigned to these calls. And so what nobody gets is that, you know how dispatch waits for every company to go responding before they will proceed with any information or anything else.
Yeah.
So it's like we didn't have a choice but to run every fire in the city regardless. And I'm telling you right now, it was awkward because we don't need to go to every fire. But nonetheless, it definitely gave us a different view of what we needed to go to. And I mean, it's like 50-50 out there as for let's talk about house fires. I mean, it's usable there. It's probably not as usable as it is on bigger stuff, obviously, but it still has a place. I'm not saying that we need to go to everyone right now by any means, but I think it'll be there someday. I mean, I think that you'll have one at every fire at some point for sure. I think so.
Yeah.
Well, then you can tie it in with the new accountability system we have. You know, where the drone and the computer system can talk to each other because it can ping our radio locations. I mean, it's coming, man. It's technology.
I know a lot about it.
I almost feel like you don't want to talk about
I think
it.
it's going to be great.
Come on, man. Anytime you have new technology or a new system, there's kinks. There's going to be kinks
I'm
in the
not
system.
saying anything.
And you have to work it out.
I think it's going to be great, and I think it's going to be super successful.
Give it time.
I am.
That's
I'm
all.
giving it time, and I'm giving it
Baby steps.
giving it an open mind because I love it.
And happy little accidents, like Bob Ross always said.
Happy little accidents.
No, the accountability system, definitely. I mean, we actually have been working hand in hand with those guys for quite a while. Not in the drone regard, but because we have some information to help them, and we know some people that can help them, but they're struggling right now, and I hope that they can overcome those struggles soon, so that we can roll that out.
Man, we always adapt and overcome.
We do, and that's what we're good at.
Moving on.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Look, I'm gonna put the camera on Jeremy for a minute.
Well, good, because I got a question for you, Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on. I have to go back to you now. Hang on. You're talking.
Oh, okay. Okay, ready?
Yeah,
Is
your
the camera on me? No.
Well, look at the TV, man. It's right there in front of you.
It's to
No,
the
like
side.
as
It's
far
awkward
as-
for him to turn.
Look at me.
That is true.
Hey,
That is true.
right here. Right here. Come on.
All right. I mean, really, Chris, this could be a question for both you and Jeremy. You guys both being captains. Actually, everybody in the room is a captain except for me. Anyways,
Take the test, man. Come on.
Yeah.
true that. Do got to take the test. No, as far as like you gentlemen, both you guys, obviously you spent many years as firefighters, so you guys know what you're seeing and doing. But having a crew now, has your crew, have they mentioned anything as far as like drone stuff in terms of like, you know, hey,
Yeah, they ask about
like,
it.
have they have yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to him about it a couple times, just random conversations around the station of, you know, things like that. And then I've got one of my guys is getting broke in to be a captain
Cool.
to WOC, and that's part of the conversation of,
Good.
hey, you know,
That's
if
awesome.
whenever you get dispatched on these calls or you pull up on something, that's something to think about. And I just share with them my own experiences of, you know, the times that I've run with you guys
Yeah.
and how helpful it's
Awesome.
been.
Awesome.
So
We saw you the other
That's
night.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, I've seen you quite a lot in the past couple shifts.
true.
I just didn't know though, like for you, Chris, too.
Same. I mean, I've got two guys that are getting broke into right as captain. I've got one that we're working on getting broke into drive. So we brought up, you know, we talked about the accountability system. I had our safety chief come down and show the system and go
Yeah.
over it, and we've talked about it and kind of all the things we can do with it. And we've talked about the drone program because,
Yeah.
you know, of course, we run the water rescues
Right.
because we bring the boats.
Yep.
And, you know, what your job is and
Yeah.
in that regard. Now, as far as we're early in the process of getting them broken to ride out as captains, so we haven't really covered what they should be looking at and
Right.
ordering because we're at the step one right now.
Yeah.
So we're getting
Gotcha,
there,
gotcha.
but we have a long way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, though. I mean, that makes me happy to hear that you guys are talking about it. That's huge. That's huge to me because a year ago you guys weren't talking about it. Nobody was, right?
Nobody was, no.
Not really.
It was barely on anybody's
I mean,
radar.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a thing.
How
but
long
now
ago were
it's
you
a
on the
thing.
podcast?
Almost a year ago.
So
Has it been that
about
long?
okay.
Yeah.
So then at that time, after you were on, and and then we saw the drone, and
I
we
made you
played
guys a
with
bunch
it.
of promises and told you it was going to happen, and you're like, yeah, right.
No, it wasn't even the. See, for me, it's not even the promises. It's this is where we're heading, and we need to be ready and aware of the technology we have coming. And
I would have
resources
never
we
agreed to
have.
come back. I'd be like, yeah, it's a huge failure.
I mean, I'm all for it, man. I'm 100% behind you.
I'm being 100% serious. That just having you guys say that you're talking about it is huge to me. That means a lot to me. Any support we can get is huge to me. But I'll be happy to, do anything you guys want to do. We'll go to the whatever extent you want to do to get it out there and make sure people are aware of it and know how to use it, when to use it.
I think getting people to see it.
That's a huge
That's
key.
going to be the biggest piece.
And,
'cause we're for firefighters. Until we see something and we've done it,
100%.
we're all skeptics.
So
That's a
at the
true
inception
story.
of this whole thing, I went and the people that I had to convince, I tried to convince them of a lot of things, but one of them was that a process, right? Like a roadmap of how to implement this or even try it for that matter. And that was what we assessed as being one of the biggest priorities was before we do anything else, we need to go around and literally contact every crew, every company in the city, go district to district and show them what it can do, give them a demo or whatever you want to do. Field questions, I think the biggest enemy on this job is the lack of communication and knowledge and I don't want to throw anybody by name under the bus, but we were shut down on doing that. And I think that was somebody out there trying to engineer failure. But I remain in the same thought that that's one of the most important things, and it needs to be
100%, Tyler. 'Cause it's like I just said. It's a great tool to have in the toolbox.
If
but if you
nobody
leave
knows,
it on the fucking truck,
Right. Right.
And I mean, all these naysayers that are out there or skeptics, I think that the majority of that is generated by a lack of knowledge or being, feeling like they're in the dark or, feeling like, I'm out there doing, whatever. I don't know.
Well, it's like Chris said, because we're firemen, it's the same thing with everything else. It's the same thing whenever we got the new struts or the new airbag or the new this or the new that.
The new cots, right.
Yeah, until you go and see it in use, in function, and see what it's valuable for.
Yeah.
You're just going to be like, oh, that's just whatever.
Right.
Because that's how we are.
It's
You
kind
don't
of
think
like
it was
ALS
just a waste
bumpers.
of money.
And if guys have a problem,
Yeah,
another-
back to medics. Sorry,
another
Tyler.
huge deal in my mind has always been like, you hear about guys talking behind your back about stuff. You go to fires and nobody says a word negative. If people have an issue or they have a problem or they have a question or they just want to, voice their opinion, man, come on, just say it.
So
It doesn't have to be a confrontation. Let's talk about it.
I can tell you though, from doing this podcast and the things that I've heard said about us behind our back because of the podcast,
Oh man, it's bad.
they are not going to say to your face
No,
because
they
they're
won't.
cowards.
Yeah,
They're
won't.
cowards.
They never will.
So I can
But-
tell you a story from years ago. I was a young firefighter, and the chief that we had at the time, the battalion chief, was my captain at one time. So we were at a fire. He made a decision, and of course we did what he wanted us to do. And later on, back at the station, I asked him, "Hey, why did you make that call?" I got chastised for questioning the chief. I wasn't questioning him. I just wanted to understand what he
Right.
saw and why he
Right.
did what he did
Yeah, right.
with the decision. He didn't have an issue with it. We sat down and talked about it, but I had other guys, because I'm a young firefighter, I shouldn't be questioning anything. Well, how am I supposed to learn or get better
Yeah.
at my job if I don't
Right.
ask questions? I'm not questioning the
Yeah.
chief.
Right.
I just want to understand what you saw because I'm
Yeah.
inside and it's dark. I can't see nothing.
Yeah, right.
And same thing with with the podcast or with you guys. You don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
ask the fucking question.
Yeah.
And learn.
Right. Yeah. Probably clarify a lot of things. I don't know if anybody's afraid of anything. I don't know what they're afraid of. I mean, it's
something new.
Nobody has to like it. If you don't want to like it, you don't have to like it, but it's not going to affect you. I mean, it's not going to.
Well, you know how firemen are. The only thing they hate more than the way the things are is change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
That ain't no lie.
There's no doubt about that.
But no,
Yeah.
I agree with that though. We need like a comments or like a compliments or a complaints box.
Complaint department. No,
Put
I
it
don't
in a
want-
box and ship it in.
We don't have enough people
I'm
for
out on
that.
We ain't got enough people for that. It'll be nothing but complaints. But no,
We'll hire
but,
somebody to,
but
to do that.
but to your argument though, it does make a big difference. I seen that on scene as well.
Oh
Just
yeah, 100%.
showing guys the actual drone footage on scene.
Yeah.
Even if it might be crews, you don't even know who it is. That's fine. You don't have to, but they come across far more engaged and positive.
I track how many
once they
people I
actually see
convert
it.
in a day. I have goals. I get bonuses.
Nice.
What's a bonus?
Yeah, it's a bonus. It's points, bonus points. Yeah, but no, we've been fairly successful in doing that too. Converting somebody, it's actually that's actually pretty.
gotta
It's
try.
a rewarding experience.
Just gotta be
Right.
patient. That's what it comes down to. is
Oh
it's
man,
gonna take time.
Man, it is like it's a grind sometimes, but every once in a while you have a guy that you like least expect to convert over to understanding or just any inkling of, oh, I get that now, and so yeah, there's higher value targets out there too. We have lists of targets.
Well, think about this
Yeah.
though, Tyler. I mean, this program has been in effect a year, and
A year,
this is
yeah.
how far you've come.
Oh yeah, no,
I
we've
mean-
definitely we've made huge strides for
I
sure.
feel like it's been like 2 years, but obviously for the meat and potatoes, it's been
Yeah.
like a year.
My body feels like it's been 5. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. I'm not complaining. I'm not here to complain. That's for sure. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, but like you were just saying, though, there's just a lot of challenges that I don't believe anyone really knows what goes on.
No, nobody really knows
not
what
even
goes on
close.
behind the scenes of anything, and that's been kind of like a revelation of mine. Is that no matter what it is, no matter what process we have, no matter just thinking about everything that is involved in the fire department in general, or anything, any aspect of it, somebody had to be in my shoes then at the beginning of it and go through this amount of effort or whatever to make a change or to implement something new. And to think about that gives you a huge amount of respect for everybody before you. And so if you put it in that context, it's worth the work and it's worth the pain of going through it, because the hope is that you're going to leave it, and it's going to continue on, well past your tenure here and become something better for everybody in the future. And
What you're describing is more transparency with everything.
Transparency is definitely required, and I think that maybe everybody should just take a second and remember all the work that everybody put it into this fire department to make it what it is today. I mean, I don't think people get enough credit for. I mean, somebody had to come up with every aspect of it, and it's a huge amount. It's a huge amount of work just to do little things, but. The amount of moving parts that are in this place are just mind-blowing, and nobody knows.
Well, and that's another part. They don't also know that you got to create all the gags and the gogs.
Everything.
The rules.
Everything.
I mean, if you've never had any experience
The
creating
gags, the
and
gogs, the
imagine how hard that
protocols,
would
the
be.
approvals to get the licensing, the everything. I mean, from everything.
And
Well, yeah.
retain those relationships with all those people that
Right. And
Yeah,
not
virus
screw
would
up.
be.
Yeah, like you were talking about earlier, it's not just the department that you have to worry about. You
No.
guys are beholden to the
FAA,
FAA. and-
Right.
PD, and
yeah.
Right.
the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it's huge. It's crazy, but yeah, it's good. And I guess the other upshot is that the city manager is 100% behind us. And if anybody knows anything about him, he likes the tech stuff. So I think the potential to grow the program, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is definitely on the table. And
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it gives everybody on the fire department, another opportunity, at some point, as a recruitment tool. Nobody thinks about that. I mean, you don't watch, advertisements for the Army with people like, cooking and cleaning.
That's very true.
We don't have. I mean, look at the police department's ads, and they're like, opportunities in 28 different special operations groups. We don't really have that right now, but it can be utilized for that stuff. And
Well,
We're heading in that direction.
it's a little bit misleading, maybe, to brand new people coming on. It may not be an opportunity immediately, but it will be.
and
It will be.
But that's just for now. I mean, who's to say, this program starts expanding out, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to need people that are dedicated to that full time.
So I'll put another prediction out there for the next podcast. In the next year, I bet you it'll become its own division.
Well, it probably should.
Yeah.
And I support it. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I do. And
because if you look at what the Air Force did back whenever they started that big push to
Space
switch.
Force?
No, the Air Force before there was Space Force.
Gotcha, yeah.
Whenever they, back in the early days of, the war on terror and all that stuff, where they started really pursuing for using drones instead of aircraft for a lot of stuff, and they started recruiting specifically people to fly drones.
Right.
It's like, don't worry about all
for
this
sure.
other stuff.
Yeah,
you
for
ain't got to
sure.
go be a PJ or work
Right,
on.
right,
I
right.
mean, you are great at Call of Duty. Sweet, sign up. I mean, that's what they were doing, though.
I think
I believe it, yeah.
we'll probably acquire a Reaper drone soon.
I will sign up for the drone program at that point.
How long
But,
until
if you
surrogates
think
become
about this-
a reality? I mean,
think-
you
what's
ever remember
that?
the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis?
Oh God.
How long until that's a reality?
We're not too far off the beaten path on that one.
So if you think about it, we could get one for $1 million. Well, the police department's helicopter program is well in excess of that yearly.
Oh yeah, just the
And
fuel
then
alone.
we have that thing just a pilot loitering, 12-hour shift, loitering up above the city all the time. That'd be something else. It's not unattainable. We would be the first ones.
Yes,
We'd be the
That-
first ones.
I don't know exactly what the fire department would use it for, but
Does it matter?
no, it'd just be cool to have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, who's
You gotta
flying
put
the
the fire
Reaper?
suppression grenade
You
on
know?
it. It's all about the fire suppression grenades. You seen those?
Yeah. Yep.
Wasn't
Yep.
that in like Backdraft?
What's that? A Reaper drone?
No,
man.
I actually saw a video of it. It was, I want to say it was a Japanese. fire
Yeah,
department.
they've got. I don't know how much of that. I mean, without question. I mean, there's capabilities out there to drop ordnance of whatever type.
Mhm.
So I mean, it could happen. I don't know. Might be reaching, but could happen.
I mean, you never know. I
Never
watched
know.
an episode of Eureka where they just shot something in a window and it foamed out the entire house and put it out. So
There you go. See?
And that was 20 years ago. So science fiction becomes science fact at some point.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's basically the drones and all of that stuff.
No, it's all
was,
happening.
Yeah.
Look at cell phones and back in the day when
Star Trek,
the
the
original Star Trek,
communicators.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now we've got cell phones that we had Nextels
Yeah.
that did that. And now our
Nextels
cell
were
phones,
awesome.
yeah, they were great.
Nextel. Wow.
I had Nextels
I
for a
heard that in a
while.
while. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, final thoughts before we wrap this up.
I appreciate you guys having me back, and hopefully the next time it'll be even better. So.
Yeah, and just happy to be here with you guys too. Hopefully next time we come back, there'll be some more, good stuff that we can talk about in regards to the drones. And like I said, you two captains, Chris, Jeremy, definitely encourage.
And
What
I
about
hope
your-
that
what
your
about your
wildest
co-pilot
dreams
there?
come true.
You just encourage your guys, to ask about a demo. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Call us.
I'll definitely set one up with you for my crew and the crew that I'm on. That
Yeah.
way we can
Anytime.
go over that.
For sure.
For sure.
All right.
Chris?
I guess my biggest thing, I even wrote it down earlier, was, if we we have something new and you don't know enough about it, you don't have the information, just ask.
Yeah, call us.
You're not. I mean, I'm a firm believer of there really isn't a bad question. If you don't know, you don't know. Just ask the question, learn about it, and then put that tool in your tool belt for the future, because you never know when you're going to need it. On those cold days, those bad car wrecks.
Goats stuck on ledges.
Yeah, goats stuck on ledges. Or, it's there for us to use, and that way we have even more information to make an even better decision because we're more informed.
Yeah, just called Drone One Worldwide.
I'm out.
Oh. All right. Big
right.
thanks to Tyler and Jarrett for coming
Hey,
on the show. Really
thank you guys.
appreciate it.
Likewise.
So, everybody, thanks for stopping by. And, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.